This playlist is going to collect together and organize the modules for our second and final lecture on learning and memory. In this lecture, we're going to start off by looking at general molecular mechanisms of memory formation. And we'll put those in a sort of time course that talks about the times as well as the mechanisms of memory formation. In the second part of the lecture, we'll turn our attention to long-term memory systems. We'll discuss declarative or explicit memory systems, and then we'll discuss non-declarative or implicit memory systems. So let's take a look at the first part of this lecture and how it gets structured. So the structure here is talking about the time course and mechanisms of memory formation. So we're going to start off with what's called early sensitization, which is a presynaptic phenomenon resulting in increased neurotransmitter release, and an early long-term potentiation, which is a postsynaptic phenomenon that results in increased receptor density. Then we'll turn to late sensitization and late long-term potentiation, both of which result in actual changes in the structure of the neurons, i.e. increasing growth in the dendrites. We'll look at dendritic spine growth sort of generally, and then we'll finish by talking about neurogenesis, which plays a minimal role in adults, but more of a pronounced role in development. So in brain development, one finds two general mechanisms that drive learning and memory: increased connection between neurons, dendritic growth, and functional alteration of the connections between neurons, long-term potentiation and long-term sensitization. We'll also discuss neurogenesis, which occurs both prenatally and during development. The focus in adult learning has been on functional alterations of connections in dendritogenesis, growing new dendrites, but all mechanisms likely operate in adult learning and memory, as we'll see. So research by people like Jared Lomo on learning and memory in adults shows that learning or long-term memory formation occurs in two stages, really. There's a shorter-term functional change in neural connectivity, followed by a longer-term structural change. If we look at the time course of this, we see that the first things that occur are presynaptic sensitization. And this results in increased neurotransmitter release in the presynaptic side of a synapse. Early long-term potentiation in the postsynaptic side results in increased receptor density. It takes a little longer. Then we have late presynaptic sensitization and late long-term potentiation, and both of these result in increased synaptic density, but also in dendritic growth. Dendritogenesis takes a longer period of time and results in increased dendritic connectivity. Finally, neurogenesis results in the increase of neuronal density, and this occurs even in adults and even in humans, but only to a very small degree, as we'll see. So when we break that down in terms of more or less time periods, shorter-term changes occur within 1 to 3 hours. So changes in neuronal sensitivity and or neurotransmitter release, increase in receptor densities, those occur in 1 to 3 hours. Longer-term changes take 24 hours or longer, and there are structural changes in the number of connections existing between neurons or increased neuronal populations, at least in the hippocampus.